Hey, everybody, welcome to this week's Star Report. This is Jason, and we are here at New Dimensions Crystals and Reiki in downtown Brenham, Texas. The weather is cooler outside, and it is fantastic. We are in the week beginning October the 18th through the 24th, Wednesday to Tuesday, the 7 days from when this report comes out, giving you the lowdown on what's happening up there in the skies. Start with our sun as usual with our solar weather because it is our closest star. So if we're astrologically checking out the energy and what it's creating, why not check the closest star? So nothing much is really going on in the sun. It is sort of quieted down, but what we should be experiencing is a little bit of the effects of the eclipse. Because really, sort of what happens in that is a sort of polar flip or a change in charge, going from positive to negative, right? So if we're a current, right, it's almost the switching of the current into a different frequency. And so you might be feeling a little bit out of sorts, a little bit, maybe you're feeling brand new. Maybe it's been fantastic for you. But a lot of times, the way that the body tries to restabilize itself when the energy shifts so much, it feels a little disorienting and you feel a little bit fatigue. That fatigue might be increasing because while the sun had the eclipse and had that reboot or that flip, we have had low energy or low activity on it. So the coronal holes haven't been large this last week. There hasn't been a lot of solar flaring. And so we're sort of in that quiet period, which will sort of ramp up towards the end of the month, probably closer into the first week of November, where we'll probably have higher flares. But that solar activity is really sort of uh, up in the air as to how you're going to be feeling it. But the two couple of things you could be feeling is invigorated that there's something new, terrified that there's something new, but also sort of low energy. Like how do I act upon this new environment where I'm in? Right. It's almost like you've woken up from a dream and you're not quite oriented to how the lay of the land is. So that's what's going on with the sun. Pay attention to that. It's since it's low activity, the hurricane, if you're in the United States watching this, the hurricane that's fixing about to hit Baja California probably isn't going to get a whole lot of intensification from the sun or solar activity. So what that sort of being said is going to be is probably how it's going to go. So if you're down in the Baja region or even very far southern California, pay attention for that storm to be hitting next couple days. And that leads us into the rest of the stars, what's happening in the astrological charts, and so on and so forth in our solar system and in the universe. Brings us to today, Wednesday. We are still in 5 retrogrades, I think I counted. I did count, so I'm pretty sure it's 5, but I'll count again anyway. First is Saturn still in retrograde. That's the one that's going away first. So right when the sun picks up at the beginning of the month in November, Saturn retrograde is going to go direct. Saturn is about creating a authentic career, right? Being yourself or being your own brand. A lot of people might be, associating this with influencers, right? They're sort of that intensified or extreme version of being themselves. Maybe they're not themselves. Who knows how that goes? But the intent should be the more yourself you are, the more authentic you are. And that energy of Saturn has really been helping us discover what is that. If I were to be my own brand and I were to put a poster up, what would that look like? And then how would I live a life according to that poster where the idea of you is what actually comes out of you? So yeah, Saturn's been pretty cool. Uranus, oh no, Neptune, I think is the next one going away. Neptune is really just about paying attention to our inner path, our spiritual guidance, our spiritual DNA, right? What were we put on the planet to do? And then what is that output or throughput of here's my spiritual journey, here's my spiritual path, here's my spiritual gift, and how do I give that to the planet? And then in what intensity do I need to do that? Is the simple recognition of my spiritual path good enough to give the ether or the group think or the hive mind that energy or that understanding, that template of what I am, what I discover? Because we're all important to the grand scheme of things, right? This is the butterfly effect. Um, and so, or it could be, you're trying to like rediscover your spiritual core and uh, how that is active in a daily sort of way. Also, Chiron is in retrograde. Chiron is about releasing old patterns, right? It seems you're always releasing old patterns, right? It's kind of like uh, if you have your computer or your phone set for regularly updating, right? They're always updating, right? So you want to think that that's the same thing with you. You're always recognizing old patterns that don't work, or they become vulnerable, or they become obsolete, and you need to sort of reorient those. Sometimes that's an epiphany, right? Where all of a sudden you have a new idea and you walk in a different direction. Sometimes that's a discarding of, like, getting rid of a habit. So that's the kind of things that happens when you're getting rid of old patterns. Then Uranus. Uranus is going to be here till the 27th of next year, January. That's really about being independent and learning to trust yourself, right? A lot of times, 80% of the things that get done is because somebody else is doing it, right? So we sort of look around ourselves like, how should I be acting when I'm losing my shit? How should I be acting as the world goes bonkers? How should I be reacting if the banks close? All these things that are headline news. What are we doing? How are we separate from that? How are we driving ourselves and not being driven by the hive? So that's what Uranus is helping you work on. And then Jupiter will be here till the 31st. And Jupiter is really structure, energy, abundance, career, purpose, right? Jupiter's so big. It's like, what's the big things? What's the big ideas? What's society doing? So that's the energy. So we're baking in that. And this isn't really happening just today, Wednesday, but that's what we're sort of going into in this week, which is going to, I don't say overshadow, but definitely flavor everything else that's happening. And this is also the zodiac sign, the last week of Scorpio, excuse me, the last week of Libra. And so Libra, we know, is about our bladder and sort of the detoxification of ourself, right? And so if you've had a lot of urination during the zodiac sign, that's normal. And so we're moving into, by the end of the week, by Tuesday, we're moving into Scorpio. And Scorpio is really more about the sacral, right? So the tailbone is where that sort of really sort of resonates in a bone sort of structure. So you might feel a little bit of lower back pain or lower back adjustment. And also in the reproductive glands, right? Everything to do with sacral is about creativity and creating new life, right? As we go into hibernation, we ramp up things that are going to produce new life, right? So we're not going into hibernation during the fall and winter months for nothing to happen, but we're creating and we're connecting to things that are going to be rebirthed in the spring. So that's the kind of energy. So sort of pay attention to that. Leads us into tomorrow, Thursday. Thursday's really about being in the energy of what's the word? Being in the energy of the eclipse window, right? So in between the solar eclipse, there's a lunar eclipse, I believe, on the 28th. There is this opportunity to do stuff, right? So that new magnetic sort of feel that you have about being different or having flipped the script for yourself, you really started feeling on Thursday about, now I need to do something, right? It's almost like you know what's happening and you're like, I have a list or an urging in my mind of a task list that I need to do, whether that's I need to get and work out, or I need to go meditate, or it's something even more structured than that. And it's really going to be pushing yourself to not just take action or to move on that, but also to communicate that. Perhaps your communication or your interpretation of what's going on is different and needs to be heard, not just thought about on the inside, right? So it's, how do I get that message out? Friday, not much is happening. Saturday, we move into an 11 master day, right? And that's just adding all the numbers of the day, right? So that would be, I don't know what Saturday is, but anyway, 2023 Saturday, and then 10, right? You add all that up and then you reduce it down to a single digit. When you can't do that, when it goes to 11, you don't reduce 11 down to 2. You reduce 11, stays 11. So it's an 11 master day. 11 master days are really just about acting on that action, right? So if you can't get up the gumption on Thursday to start to communicate and do, definitely by Saturday, you've got that peak. If you are out of words or out of effort or out of ideas about how to make that happen, Saturday is also a good time because that's when the Orionids or Orinids, however you want to say it, the Orion meteors that are coming from the Orion star cluster up there, right? The Orionids are going to peak, right? So you should be able to look towards Orion and see some meteorites coming through, right? And meteorites are really increased dream activity, ideas from outside the box, right? So you want to think coming from outside of our little governed magnetic field of the Earth, right? Those things are coming in and sort of penetrating and giving us the idea of newness. Leads us into Sunday. Sunday, halfway through the eclipse gateway, right? So halfway between the solar eclipse and the lunar eclipse. It's just sort of a mile marker to sort of say, hey, we're almost there. We're almost to the next part. And then as Tuesday comes upon us when we're leaving Libra into Scorpio, you want to, maybe you do. The opportunity for finding partners in crime, like-minded people, people that are aligned with your interests, right? So Libras are really about the balance thing. So sometimes you want to think about that as a pair, or not quite like Gemini, but definitely like there's somebody or something where you can sort of find a balance and work together. You want to think about that energy as Tuesday as people to partner with or partnerships that have been sort of brewing, or maybe paperwork's been happening, that Tuesday is a good day to sort of solidify those things or start to work on them actuality rather than thinking. And that's going to finish off our week. The energy is it's up and down, right? So it feels like a lot of stuff is happening, but there's not a lot of energy to address it. It feels like the sun is shifting our reality, which it is, but to what we don't know, right? And so as that reality shifts, as we move out of Libra, right, the balance, right, we're gonna move into probably globally a more conflictual, if you didn't think of as conflictual enough already, a more conflictual stance, as Libra's been about sort of finding balance or rebalancing, right? And so power orientations, monetary policies, economics, relationship stuff has been, trying to balance itself out. Scorpio is really about creating something new, but also Scorpio has a scorpion. It has a stinger, right? So a lot of times there can be some lashing out and some a lot of times the thing to be cautious of as we move into Scorpio is note to not be triggered to sting yourself, right? Don't take yourself out of the game. Don't abnormally crash your own pathway. Don't get off of your own directive pathway or spiritual guided pathway, right? Because of what's happening, right? So don't be self-stung, but also prepare your stinger, right? Have a stance where you are sovereign and you won't be conquered, right? So it's that give and take. We're trying to take that Libra balance into Scorpio so that we don't end up being self-cannibalizing. All right, that sounds like a lot of energy is happening. Of course, if any of this is bothering you, you can come by the shop, hang out, and deal with the energy by just grabbing a crystal, smelling the incense that goes on in the shop. Of course, you can go to newdimensionscrystals.com, and if you need any of those sessions that are there to help regulate your energy, by all means, go onto the website, click book now. It's the easiest way to do it. And of course, the first thing, if you're sitting there and everything's getting overwhelming and you're holding your breath, that's the wrong thing to do. Breath work is the easiest thing. It's what gives us our life, right? We stop breathing and we go out faster than when we stop drinking or stop eating. So if you need to help regulate your breath, we do have one-on-one breathwork sessions available at that same place, newdimensionscrystals.com. I've had a great time talking to you. Until next time, everybody, many blessings.